On the coldest night of the year, taxi driver Jack Morrison thought he was picking up his final passenger before going home. A woman in a white coat stood alone beside an empty road. She gave him an address. She barely spoke a word. But when Jack reached the destination, the woman had vanished. And what he discovered afterward would change his life forever. The city was drowning in freezing rain. Streetlights reflected off the wet asphalt like broken pieces of glass. Jack Morrison rubbed his tired eyes and glanced at the dashboard clock. 11:47 p.m. It had been a terrible night for business. For nearly 3 hours, he hadn't picked up a single customer. His rent was overdue. His savings account was nearly empty. And every day seemed harder than the last. Jack sighed. One more ride, he whispered to himself. Then I'll go home. As he turned onto an old road near the outskirts of town, he noticed someone standing under a flickering street lamp. A woman. Alone. Motionless. At nearly midnight. Jack slowed his taxi. The woman wore a long white coat. Dark hair fell across her shoulders. Her face was pale. Not sickly pale. Almost ghostly. When she opened the back door and sat down, a strange chill filled the car. Jack looked at her through the mirror. Where to? The woman handed him a folded piece of paper. No words. Just an address. Jack nodded and started driving. The silence felt unnatural. Most passengers checked their phones. Some talked. Others complained. But this woman simply stared out the window. Watching the darkness. As if she were looking for something she had lost long ago. After 20 minutes, Jack noticed something strange. The temperature inside the taxi kept dropping. He increased the heat. Nothing changed. A cold shiver crawled down his spine. Then he glanced into the rearview mirror. For a second. The seat looked empty. Jack blinked. The woman was there again. His heart skipped a beat. Maybe exhaustion. Maybe stress. That's all. But deep inside, he knew something felt terribly wrong. The address led to an old neighborhood. Most houses were dark. The destination was a weathered 2-story house at the end of Willow Lane. Jack parked. We're here. No answer. He turned around. And froze. The back seat was empty. Completely empty. The door had never opened. The windows remained closed. There was no sign anyone had been there. Jack jumped out and searched the street. Nothing. No footprints. No woman. Only silence. And rain. Confused, Jack walked to the house and knocked. After a moment, an elderly woman opened the door. She looked frightened when Jack described his passenger. Especially when he mentioned the white coat. Without saying a word, she disappeared into another room. A minute later she returned holding a photograph. Jack's blood ran cold. The woman in the picture was the same passenger. The same face. The same eyes. The same white coat. Who is she? Jack asked. The old woman trembled. My daughter. Emily. Jack swallowed hard. Where is she now? Tears filled the woman's eyes. Emily died 25 years ago. The old woman invited Jack inside. She told him Emily's story. 25 years earlier, Emily had been engaged to a young man named Daniel Carter. They planned to marry. They dreamed of building a family. But one stormy night, Emily never arrived home. Her car crashed on a remote highway. She died before help arrived. The entire town mourned. But Daniel disappeared shortly afterward. No one ever understood why. The tragedy remained an open wound. Even after all these years. Before Jack left, Emily's mother handed him a small journal. It belonged to her. Jack spent the entire night reading. Inside were dreams, plans, memories, and one final entry written the day before her death. It mentioned a letter. An important letter meant for Daniel. A letter she never had the chance to deliver. Jack felt a strange responsibility forming inside him. As though Emily had chosen him for a reason. Over the next several weeks, Jack became obsessed. He searched old newspapers, police records, archived photographs. Anything connected to Emily and Daniel. Eventually he discovered a lead. Daniel Carter wasn't dead. He was living in a small coastal town hundreds of miles away. Alone. Hidden from the world. Jack knew he had to find him. The journey took 2 days. Daniel was now an old man. Gray-haired. Quiet. Broken. When Jack mentioned Emily's name, Daniel's face turned pale. For several minutes he couldn't speak. Then tears rolled down his cheeks. I never stopped loving her. Jack listened as Daniel revealed the truth. On the night Emily died, they had argued. A stupid argument. One neither of them truly meant. Daniel blamed himself for decades. He believed if they hadn't fought, Emily would still be alive. The guilt destroyed him. So he ran away. Jack showed Daniel the journal. Inside was a folded envelope. Still sealed. Still untouched. Daniel's hands shook as he opened it. The letter was short. But every word mattered. It read. Daniel, no matter what happens, never blame yourself for my mistakes. Life is too short for regrets. If tomorrow never comes, remember that I loved you with all my heart. Daniel broke down completely. For 25 years he had carried a burden that was never his to bear. And now, finally, the truth had reached him. The following week, Daniel returned to the city with Jack. Together they visited Emily's grave. The sky was cloudy. The air was still. Daniel placed white roses beside the headstone. Then he read the letter aloud. Every word. Every sentence. Every emotion. When he finished, tears streamed down his face. But something had changed. The guilt was gone. For the first time in decades, there was peace. That evening, Jack drove home alone. The city lights shimmered through the mist. Everything felt different. Lighter. Calmer. As he stopped at a traffic light, he glanced into the rearview mirror. And there she was. Emily. Sitting quietly in the back seat. Not sad. Not lost. Smiling. A gentle smile filled with gratitude. Jack blinked. And she vanished. Gone forever. But this time, he wasn't afraid. Because he finally understood. Some passengers don't need a ride to a destination. Sometimes. They only need someone willing to finish the journey they never could. The most powerful ghosts are not the ones that haunt houses, but the memories that wait for someone to set them free.